And the overriding sovereign throughout that structure are you, the people. Okay, and the words within the Quick-and-Garran are the uncontrollable authority lies with you, the people. Okay. The Quick-and-Garran is the annotation to that constitution. It is the breakdown of the debates that took place leading up to Federation and the drafting of that constitution. So the courts must act independently. Now, unfortunately, here in Australia, the courts lost part of their power as far as approving a law. Parliament only has the ability to draft a bill. That's all it has. Parliament, Latin, group of liars.
True.
Okay, there has to be a check and balance system in place to make sure that the Parliament do not get carried away if they were... We're in a situation now where they are carried away, they are just drafting laws as they please. The Constitution says otherwise. Okay? Now, the Parliament of Victoria, for instance, in the state, cannot bring about an act. Now, the inconsistency in the states at the moment, and I urge people to turn to page 1 of any act that they may be defending themselves against. And on the first page it will say here in Victoria, the Parliament of Victoria enacts as follows. Now, prior to 1986, the words were, be it enacted by Queen Elizabeth II, her most excellent Majesty, for and with the consent of the upper house and the lower house. It shows you that separation of powers. Since 1986, they've lost that. And this comes about through here in Victoria, section 15 of the Victorian Constitution.
You want that?
Yes, please. Pull that up.
Is that your car, Kelvin?
Section 15 of the Victorian Constitution says the legislative power of the state of Victoria. Can everyone read that okay? Yeah. The legislative power of the state of Victoria shall be vested in a parliament which shall consist of Her Majesty, the Council and the Assembly, to be known as the Parliament of Victoria. Okay.
So that's 1975, Darryl?
75. Yeah. Now, can you pull up section 61?
Of the federal one?
Yeah. The Commonwealth Constitution, section 61, and section 61 is the first section under chapter 2 of the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900. Section 61, executive power. The executive power of the Commonwealth is vested in the Queen and is exercised by the Governor-General as the Queen's representative and extends to the execution and maintenance of this Constitution and of the laws of the Commonwealth. Do you see the word Parliament in there anywhere?
No.
Okay. Now, all laws are subject to this Constitution. Every state constitution is subject to the Commonwealth Constitution.
Section 5 of it.
106 and 109.
106. We'll pull up section 106 of the Commonwealth Constitution. Section 106. The Constitution of each state of the Commonwealth, subject to this Constitution, continue as at the establishment of the Commonwealth, subject to this Constitution. Okay. Now, you've got the Acts Interpretation Act there, please, Kelvin. Section 15A, Acts Interpretation Act, 1901.
Just there was an update or amendment to this act this year. The sections may have changed.
Yeah. They do tend to shift them around.
They don't change them, they just shuffle the decks on the...
Okay.
Shuffle the deck on the back deck of the Titanic.
Construction of acts to be subject to Constitution. So every act, okay, every act, there's no exclusion in the word every. Okay. Every act shall be read and construed subject to the Constitution. Okay. These are important that you understand those basic points. Now, Section 109, Commonwealth Constitution. Our Constitution was drafted to let us know what government can and what government cannot do.
Up there.
Section 109. When a law of a state is inconsistent with a law of the Commonwealth, the latter shall prevail, and the former shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be invalid. Now, that section stands out from the rest of the Constitution.
Darryl, I notice it doesn't say in there to have it declared as such after trial to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'd love to change the word invalid and put the word criminal in there.
It would be more appropriate.
It would change the whole system. Just throw that one word out and replace it with criminal. It would then keep all of the states in line, because prior federation, the states were out of control. And now we're right back. We've gone back to the 19th century.
Why can't we put it to a referendum?
Well, referendum's the one thing that this country and our governments have been struggling with. They've been using referendum to try and bring about changes that suit them, not us. Yeah, we need to really wake up to our power.
Plus the people need to have permission to hold a referendum anyway through Parliament.
It's a reflection. Section 128 of the Commonwealth Constitution, which brings referendum in, and Section 123. Yeah, you could.
We got the top chick over here. Why can't we go and see her and go and put the criminal in behind that?
Well, unfortunately, the Governor-General is supposed to be appointed by the monarch.
Well,
Is it always, isn't it?
She was appointed by Bill Shorten.
No, she was appointed by Gillard. We've got a problem. And the only reason the government is stepping outside of their constitutional boundaries is because we, the people, have been so distracted by our football, meat pies and holding cars that they have put themselves well and truly outside of the definition of the law of the land. Now, we have a choice. We wake up and we start putting these people back in their place following proper due process. Now, I had a meeting the other day with Robert Clark, the Victorian Attorney General. Present at that meeting was Kelvin Granger and Ivan Saxton. Now, it was a very good meeting. Also at that meeting was the Parliamentary Secretary, Gary Blackwood. Very impressed with Mr. Blackwood.
He's a decent guy.
He is a decent guy. And I came away from that meeting and overwhelming thought was, and this was confirmed by Robert Clark, is there is a layer of bureaucracy between the Parliament and you, the people. And that's where our problem lies. Now, the only way we're going to overcome this problem is by you making contact with your local member and voicing your dissatisfaction with the way the states are operating and the way that our public servants are operating. It's the only way. We need to follow proper due process.
No, you're right first time. You're right first time.
It's section 28. It keeps driving into my brain. We need to follow proper due process. We need to connect with our local member at a state and a federal level and drive ourselves as a wedge between the party political system and you, the people, and the bureaucracy.
What do you do under the circumstances when, like last Friday, we were in the magistrate's court in Down Country, and the judge in the magistrate's court asked Jerry, how do you plead? And he said, no plea. He said, no, how do you plead? No plea, your worship. Oh, if that's the case, he said, I'll plead for you.
And they can't do this.
And he pleaded him guilty.
Not guilty. Then the conversation come up the other day about going to your local member. Now, we went to the local member and told her we did not want fluoride in our water because some of us are allergic to it. And we pointed out to her the people that were allergic to it can die from the injuries it causes. She said, go and get a water filter. And what have you got to do anything like that?
Well, in that situation, and as the discussion came about with Robert Clark the other day, you need to use your local member to then connect with the minister responsible and bring about a meeting and a dialogue with that minister and your local member.
She's a bitch.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We keep the pressure up.
How do you deal with a person that's got no understanding where the hell you're coming from?
And the only reason this is the case is because those people that are elected in know nothing of this stuff.
Bullshit.
This is the problem.
She wasn't elected.
Darrell, I
She was
disagree
put
with
in
you.
there by
I
her
think they
boyfriend.
know, but they're playing dumb, man. They're playing ignorance all the time and they think they're talking to fool, man. That's my personal opinion about that.
But
We should want the education minister about teaching the Constitution in school.
Yeah, we need to. We at all times we have to presume that they're just being misled. But the more of us that go in there, the more of us that make appointments, the more of us that sit down and say, hang on, Section 109 of the Constitution, hang on, you guys are bringing about laws that are inconsistent. Why is this? Why have you allowed the state constitution to exist as an absolute breach and breakdown of the separation of powers? Why is this happening? Why are our courts ignoring Commonwealth law? This has to stop.
Because they
Robert
think
Clark says
public
he's
is
going to
a
do
sheep.
this.
Robert Clark was quite shocked.
Yeah, but did he say he's going to take action? Considering he's the Attorney General?
Yes, he will take action once we take the proper, we follow the due process.
So is he waiting for 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people to go to their local MPs?
No.
What's he waiting for?
There was quite a few points of law